Hello YouTube, it's Millet here. This is the first episode in a new series of me translating a 1.2.5 server to a 1.3.2 server. I apologise that this very first episode may be a bit death by PowerPoint. That kind of style, I'm going to try and keep it as low as I can in the future. I just wanted to get a few things explained now at the beginning, and then hopefully I shouldn't have to do this again. Although I will throw up the odd bit of information now and again with regards to what I'm doing and any key settings I'm changing that would be worthwhile you knowing. So welcome. As I just said, the aim of this project is to move a server 1.2.5 world into a 1.3.2 world. To do this, we're going to use various tools behind the scenes, and once we've done this in future episodes, we're going to try and build the server up in terms of functionality and hopefully eventually user base. Starting off with, I just want to go over quickly what we're going to have to do. I'm going to first of all explain about the way that I've designed the center city to the server. Which structures that already exist that we wish to take out of it, and we'll do that. And after that, then we're going to try and identify a new world that we want to place our city and basically build our server around. And how we do that, we'll create a bit of flat land for us to build on. This is not in Minecraft at this point, but we'll go into that. And then we'll plop down the structures, to steal a sort of SimCity term. And then eventually we'll go around and just have a quick check about. So first of all, I want to explain how the existing city that we have in the 1.2.5 world is structured. It's a US grid style system with plots approximately 50 by 50 and with 8 wide roads between them. This makes up a nice grid that tessellates well together. We can join various plots together if we need to. For example, a 2x2 plot becomes 108 on each side, which is quite convenient, which we've done. The city is surrounded by a battlement-style wall, which keeps it protected. It's actually the edge of the protection for health and mob spawn protection. The existing grid is much larger than the one that we want to move towards. We're now going to move towards a 6x4 grid arrangement rather than sort of a 9x9 grid arrangement. So this will give us a final of 24 available plop spaces. So speaking of things that we can plop, this is what we're going to have to move. We have a sort of nice park arrangement, which is a 2x3 space. We have our mob arena, which is a 2x2 space, where you can go and fight mobs and win prizes. We have the hub, which is the sort of the local, and once you're registered and logged in, the spawn point for all users. Then we have the spawn area, which is where new players join the server. We have the clock, which is this sort of clock that I brought from world to world to world with me. We have a 1x1 storage area for users who don't necessarily want full-blown houses. This is going to turn into the market style area. And finally we have the flats, which is a true player housing, which is a 1x2 plop space. Okay, and this is our design that we're going to use. This sort of represents the previous colours in the previous slide. The black space, which wasn't included, is empty plots that can be used by players or staff for building new functionality. Not going to go too deeply into each one of those, but that's the rough design we have for now. So the first structure we're going to take out is the park, and on this part I had to remove the underlying area that I had been messing around with here. Please excuse the 5 times speed on the video, otherwise it would take far too long. I previously been planning to use this area for some kind of admin housing or other personal things for admins that are out of the way of prying eyes. So the first thing to do was restore the underlying stone to match the rest of the layout of the landscape. It's not staggeringly important, I could have left it in, but it left this kind of, it's my OCD side that kicked in. The next bit was to remove the entrance to that area that had been built, which was this sort of entrance through the waterfall. And as part of this, I had to get rid of all the stone and try and restore the stone and dirt layers. Please excuse the odd squeaks you hear now and again. There was a sheep nearby that was causing a few humorous noises once I sped up. But this is just using WorldEdit to delete and replace a lot of the structure that I had tunneled out with. I'm probably not using the most effective commands to do this. I wasn't really staggeringly thinking when doing this. So this is, it could have been done better. You might just have heard one of the squeaks from one of the sheep then very quickly. It sounds a bit like a computer data noise. So after I just replaced this bit of dirt, that's pretty much the area wrapped up. Just finishing a few holes that I left while building, and missing block apparently. So that's that. So the next thing to do is select the entire area. I tried to do this automatically using extensions, using WorldEdit for the selected area. I messed this up royally. I didn't realise at the time what cocked it up. So I ended up just doing it by hand and double checking. So taking the top the top left and the bottom right corners as looking at it from the perspective I'm about to be in to copy it. We expand it vertically to grab it all, and then we cut it out. The reason I'm cutting it out is so I can tell that I've got the entire area at once. This will leave a giant hole and does cause significant lag while doing it. At this point, I hadn't used the WorldEdit schematic saving technology in quite a while, so I had to look up and see how to use schematic save, believe it or not. So once I have finally looked that up, there we go. Finally, I'll save it, and that's the park done. So next was the mob arena. The mob arena had a few issues that I later noticed after I pasted it. There were a couple of trees that went beyond the line that I had defined. There wasn't an easy way to do that, and what I'll have to do is once I put it into New World, go around and double check the trees and make sure they're all done nicely. Again, vertical expand, cut, save, move onwards. Of course, if you put the commands in the right order. Again. Okay, hub. This is 1 by 1. This is fairly easy. That's pretty standard. Bottom left, top right. The reason I keep bunching up to this bottom left-hand corner is that, of course, WorldEdit saves the position you were when you cut it. So if you place it in-game, you know where you have to be to capture it. Again, okay, doing the same with the spawn area. Very, very similar, very quick to the hub. The clock structure contains a lot of false book self-triggers, so obviously a simple copy and paste will not cause this to work, and what we'll have to go through once it's pasted and once false book is installed is to actually click on the signs to re-energize them and let false book know where it is. So copper storage, excuse the juttering here, this was not captured in the normal way that I normally would, not using fraps. Future videos will be done using fraps as long as it's completely in the Minecraft world. So there we go, saved again. Now we do the flats. The flats initially caused the server to crash after loading so many things into RAM. It finally had enough and gave up. You may notice a death point down in the bottom left. Slight accident because of the lag. I couldn't actually fly in time, so I fell through. Turns out admins can even die of the void. This did take a very long time to copy. So the next challenge is to actually generate the world that the new city will be in, and to do this we need to identify a seed, check it out, and actually then generate the landscape. So to look at a seed before you actually generate the world in a more convenient manner, I use a program called AMIDST, which is freely available on the Minecraft forums. This allows you to specify seeds either in numerical or word or text form, and then evaluate the biomes that are generated by that seed. The program itself won't actually generate seeds for you, so you either have to pick random numbers or word combinations, and usually in my case it involves some kind of rude word. You do this and it generates an image like you see on the right hand side. Now specifically what I was looking for was either one large forest biome or a plains biome, which would have been easiest to place the city in without having to do as much terraforming around the edge. Now this is the actual seed I went for on the right, and the target area is the small, almost Italy-shaped desert biome just to the top left of the center point of the image. The next thing to do is actually create the world in the single-player Minecraft environment using the seed that we've used in AMIDST. What this does is it allows us, when we start to move to the MCEdit stage, to actually get a visual representation of where all the trees and the mountain lines are. Because the one thing AMIDST doesn't provide you is any kind of topology information. All it provides you is desert hills, or, you know, extreme hills edge, extreme hills. So actually generating that in the world is quite important. So you quickly load it up. You can either do it as a creative or you can do it as a survival and just run around until you've got enough of the map in the surrounding area that you want. So now we just open the level that we've generated in MCEdit and we wait for it to load all the chunks in from disk. This is in chunk view, not the normal camera view. So now we'll select a rough area that should enable us to hold our city. Now I know through working it out based upon the way everything tessellates, I need an 18 by 22 chunk space. Once we've chosen an area that looks to have the least amount of effort required for terraforming, what we'll do, although I won't show it, is we wipe that area out and make it a flat land and then prune off the entire environment around it. Once we have that space, we can now start to plop things down. So I'm going to do this at about 6 times normal speed. So what the first thing I want to do is put all the walls that will surround the city, which will give us the framework to work from. and we know where to place the buildings and the rest of the roads. Now we can abuse and use MCEdit's ability to clone quite effectively in order to quickly duplicate the landscape and make it quick as possible to do this. Using a grid system as we are, it makes it very easy to specify the number of times and the distances to use when cloning our landscape. Sometimes you get it wrong, but in all the cases with this map, the usual distance between things is 58, which is a road and a plot width. So it makes sense that it starts to match up very well. So now we've done this, we can now start place the roads, which we'll do first of all by placing the four-way junctions. This enables us to quickly figure out where we need to place the horizontal roads. What we'll do, however, is we will place all of the roads rather than those roads that we need specifically for our layout, as it actually makes it slightly quicker this way than having to think about the other way of which roads need a three-way junction, which don't, which just need a straight road through it. As you can see, using the clone tool is very effective. Once you have a decent stretch of landscape created, it allows you to very quickly populate all the roads that you need to and any other kind of layout that you need. Again, switching to the camera view just to make sure everything fits right and all the different sections line up correctly. So now we'll actually start to place the first building, in this case the mob arena, which is actually the wrong way around. So very quickly with MCEdit we can simply rotate the structure. Because we are in chunk view and the things that we are placing down are full height, it automatically justifies top and bottom. So again, we'll place the park down, quickly verify which way the park is. You cannot see the replacement layers when the land is already at the 64 height and your land is below it. As you can see here, I made slightly too few grid positions when we initially laid out the road. So what we'll do is we'll use the clone tool and enable us to extend the city very easily. We have to do this in camera view because the city is not chunk aligned. So once we've done that, we can get back to placing the remaining objects. So we'll now place the clock in its usual position. And then finally, well, not finally, we will now replace things like the flat. I was initially going to put it in the position I designed earlier, but I actually decided it'd be better horizontally rather than vertically, which would allow more to be viewable away from the players' rooms. Allow them to see what else. So place the storage down, and then we've placed all 7 of our buildings. The next thing to do now is to start placing the 3-way intersections and make sure that everything lines up as it should and the correct junctions are in place so they look good. We just need to now get rid of a layer of snow that I had accidentally left in. Placing down the empty plots now just to fill up the landscape. All this has is a leaf fence around them to prevent people running around in them, and also protects them if any mobs do spawn inside them. Not that they will be able to once we have World Guard enabled. Now finally we save it, and this is saving 83 cuts, pastes and edits, so this actually takes about 2.5 minutes. And there's the final product. Now we finally take off the additional chunks on the right hand side, because obviously we don't want those to exist. We want the natural landscape to be there so we can terraform it. So now let's check it out. Now we've loaded our world up, we can go and have a quick look around and make sure that everything's been put into place correctly. One of the first things I'm going to do, or we're doing, is running around the outside of it. Well, this has the effect of not only making sure that our outside wall is okay, but we're also generating the chunks that we previously deleted again. You'll see that Minecraft has automatically inserted the forest, that is the overspill. However, it hasn't automatically made the landscape fit into itself. This is why we're going to have to terraform the landscape later. You'll also see there on the floor there's a difference in the colour of grass. This is due to the different biome changes. So once again, we'll also have to harmonise the biomes and make sure that it all fits in nicely together. This large mountain will need quite a lot of landscaping to attempt to bring it down. It might even be easier just to remove the mountain totally. So one of the things that we'll do when we start terraforming is actually strip away all the grass, the long grass that it is, the trees and the leaves, to allow us to actually bring the landscape down and merge it in. We'll also replace the various bits of grass leading up to our wall to match the biome that the side is connected to. So after the complete run around of the outside, we'll go and have a look around at the inside. And thankfully the first thing we're greeted to is our large clock, which appears to have come in correctly. You will notice that there are trees, or at least saplings, around the outside, ready and waiting to be grown, and we'll probably do that next time with bone meal. Looking over to make sure that the park has come in correctly and that the air has actually replaced the previous land that was there before, giving the world a chance to load all its blocks before we have a look around. Now finally we'll go and look and make sure everything else is correct. Checking here that most of the trees have come over correctly and haven't been overhanging the edge of the zone. If they were, we'd need to regenerate those. The flats are generated correctly. Here we're just going past the hub area and a quick check to make sure that's alright. The wall has lit up correctly on the outside. However, looking at the mini-map, it appears that the rest of the data hasn't come through quite correctly and some of it is still more dark than it should be. We may have to attend to that later with something like no lag and fix the light levels by hand. The other thing is at the moment that we don't necessarily know what biome the centre is in. Some of it may be desert, some of it may be forest, and that will need fixing again, and we can use WorldEdit for that as we get closer. We could actually also do it in MCEdit. So just checking on the wall a little bit to make sure it's all coming correctly. Certainly a couple of times when I've pasted these before, the doors haven't quite rotated correctly. It looks like they have in this case. It depended which side you're coming in from and the northeast southwest rules that Minecraft has. So going along the other edge of the park, we can see that the clock's reloading. It looks initially like the top of the clock is missing, but on further inspection it isn't. It's just the draw distance isn't allowing us to see it. Quick skim around. Yeah, the spawn set is lit up correctly, so we're happy. The mob arena, we're not going to have too much of a look in. However, we'll just quick walk past it. There's nothing particularly unusual landscape-wise about the mob arena. We're just checking that everything appears to come in correctly. Notice here that we need to replace the road into... It doesn't look right as it is, so what we'll do is replace that with just a long stretch of horizontal road so we can't see that. And finally, I've had a good enough look down, so let's just drop down to one of my favourite areas in the park. And it's one of the very first areas that I created, but it's always nice to hang around and it makes me feel cosy and warm. And there we go. I think that's been a successful import. Thanks for watching, everybody. This has been my first episode of moving my 1.2.5 to 1.3.2. I hope some people have found this of interest and they weren't too totally bored by it. If you've made it to the end, thank you very much for watching. It's very much appreciated. Comments are greatly appreciated. As I say, this is the first time I've done one of these, so I'd quite like to try and make them more interesting in the future if I can. Obviously, I understand that this is a bit of a PowerPoint death fest, and we'll try and avoid that in the future. I just want to set the groundwork now. So next time, we're going to get the world into Bucket, do some very basic setup in Bucket so it can support more and further development, and we'll also terraform the edge of the city with Voxel Sniper. So, once again, thanks very much for watching. See you soon.